I want to start this recording with the disclaimer that I am obviously not in the United States. I have never lived in the United States, so I always felt that this was not my place to speak. But of course, that's wrong too. And so here I am trying to fix it, because it is important that we at least try and make things better, regardless of where in the world we are. And if you're not in the mood to watch a video talking about these things, go ahead, click away. This is my platform, and I do whatever I want with it. You are welcome to skip the video, you are welcome to disagree, you are welcome to do whatever you want. Because I have a right to do whatever I want with my videos. It took me a while to speak. It took me a while to figure out what I was going to say. And it took me a while to speak because I am a very slow reader. And I had a lot to catch up on. Lots of news that don't go viral. Lots of articles that a lot of people don't share. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news because it's just depressing, because every day somebody dies of any color in any country. Like every day someone gets killed. And so before I become desensitized, I just don't watch the news anymore, which makes it a lot harder for me to know things. And so when this whole thing began, I was stuck in the middle of other things, like the whole scandal with Micah Stauffer. I mean, I made a rant video about that. I got all flustered because there's this very famous and notorious YouTuber, mommy vlogger, and she adopted a child for clout, and she rehomed the child. The good thing of all that mess is that the child is now in a better place, hopefully. I've heard that the new family is a right fit for the kid, which is the best thing that could come out of all this mess. But I was very entangled in that. My mind was very stuck in that situation where disability kids of color are adopted and disposable, and that really had a toll on my... I just had to relax for a while, because that video was a rant, and this video is not going to be a rant, and this video is not going to be about me. It starts with my misconceptions and misperceptions of situations because of everything I disclaimed before. I don't live in the States, I don't watch news, and I try to not get desensitized with all the killing every day. And so when the fires started and the whole rioting situation began, I only knew at first, thanks to another content creator that I follow that had like a live stream going on, and there were some riots, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And they say, oh, there are some riots in the States, and I was like, but what's going on? And for some reason I didn't get the memo that it was because of George Floyd. I just knew briefly that there were some riots, and I got this idea of, okay, these people were in quarantine for a couple of months, they go out of the house and now they are rioting everything. It's like this really misunderstanding of me that, okay, they were quarantined, so now they're going crazy and protesting for some political rally of sorts. I mean, that was my thought, which was, of course, very, very wrong. And then I saw on Twitter all these literary agents and editors and all these big dogs of publishing suddenly being all about Black authors and Black Lives Matter. And I was like, what is this? Another political rally? I had no idea of George Floyd at this point. And this hypocrisy of the big people got me really, really, really angry. And I didn't know what to do at the time. So I tweeted a couple of stupidities. Yes, I am basically exposing my own stupidities because it's not right. And it was misinformed what I was doing. And I'm very thankful for the person who took me on the side. Mom, you're a star. I'll always love you. Thank you so much for correcting me and calling me out on my bullshit when I should be called out. So my mom educated me on the whole situation. And so I understood that this was yet again another Black man killed by cops. Again. Another Black person dying because the cops had to do their duty or whatever. And then I got even more angry because this tied back to my hangover from the Stoffers of people of color, disabled, adopted, being disposable. And then, okay, so the feeling now is also that black lives are disposable and easy to kill, and it's fine, and no one will do anything about it. This is not the first time I hear of a black person dying because of police brutality. I'm blanking on the name. So please, the comment section is open. You can educate me if you want. If you don't want, I will just do the research. It's my job. But if anyone knows the name of this other person, because this was years ago when I got to hear of a black man who was walking out at night and a cop stopped him and asked for his identification, and the guy just happened to have his pockets full of things, and he was, okay, I'm gonna get my ID, but he was emptying the pockets so he could reach his ID, and he took out a sandwich wrapped in one of those silver aluminum wrappers, you know, and the cop thought that was a gun, and he shot the guy before he could even show his ID, because the sandwich on an aluminum wrapper looked, quote unquote, looked like a gun, so the guy was dangerous, so the cop shot at him. And we have news of this kind since so long ago. It's every year, every other week, every other month, some black person is dying. And that just gets me even more and more angry. I remember back in my university, this was one of those days where class takes a detour and the professor starts talking about anything but whatever we have to discuss, you know, going on tangents. And the professor had the courage to say, someone who has never been to the States, or maybe he has gone for a few conferences, I don't know. Professors of psychology sometimes have conferences, so I cannot assume. But someone who is clearly not American, who has never been to the States, has the audacity to say this in front of a class that is 90% white European students, and maybe me, who am biracial, and another black dude who was also a foreign student. And the professor has the courage to say that America has no longer racism because, you know, they have a black president now. And I was like, excuse me. So, of course, being the people of color in the classroom, me and the other guy, and more him being the black guy, me being the in the middle person, we jumped at the professor. We were like, excuse me? Like, I beg your pardon? I mean, sorry, but a black president doesn't mean... So to all my friends in the other side of the pond who are thinking still that there is no racism in America because Obama was a president, guys, don't let your professors tell you such bullshit. In fact, I would love to see what my professor has to say about the whole situation now. And that's what they teach you. They teach you that half-baked story that everything is fine now, when nothing is fine, and it's gonna take forever until it kind of is, because this problem has been going on for so long, and there are so many things that I am still blanking upon because I don't know enough to speak. And there comes my other mistake. I stayed quiet because I feel like I'm never enough, because I feel like I don't want to make a video and gain views because I am talking about something political when my channel is basically all about writing. I felt that it would be a hypocrisy of my part. So I stayed quiet. But it isn't the right thing to do. If I am a person who is always worried for my friends, it isn't right to stay quiet. I was thinking it was the right thing to do because it is not my time to speak. It is their time to speak. Right now, people have to listen to black content creators in the States or elsewhere. Black content creators. I'm not black, I'm biracial, and I'm not in the States. So I felt that whatever I have to say, right or wrong or in between, it doesn't really matter. That's wrong, because staying silent is very similar to staying ignorant. And I don't want to be ignorant. That's the last thing I want to be. If I am involuntarily ignorant on some stuff, that's because I don't have the brain capacity to read and learn everything at my current age. I still have a lifetime of lessons to learn. That's okay. But willful ignorance is something I don't want to take part on. I also had the other thing piling up in my brain about, you know, it's Pride Month. And in the middle of Pride Month, the queen of ableism, And now transphobia decides to write her manifesto on her thoughts again about certain minorities. I mean, I that's for another video, but that was also something I had in mind in the middle of Pride Month. It's like everything that minorities fight for, minorities of all kind, everything we try to do to make things better, some big dog, some celebrity, some famous somebody comes in and crushes everything in just a tweet or a blog post. It's like the feeling of whatever we do doesn't matter. And I have been living with this feeling basically all my life. Like, it doesn't matter what I do or what I say or what I don't do or what I don't say. It will always be wrong and nothing matters and everything is meaningless. And I don't want to be stuck in this mentality for the rest of my life. I don't want my black friends and my friends of color and all my LGBTQ friends and all my disabled friends and all my friends with mental health struggles and all my trauma survivor friends to struggle with this idea that what we do doesn't matter. As artists, we have always been told that everything we do is useless because unless we make it big and bring the cash home, our art is just useless. It's just a hobby. And we should go and get a real job. Well, let me tell you, the media that we consume and the media that we produce really does mold our psyche in one way or another. And if we keep pushing these narratives of the badass white assassin that we see in every other fantasy novel and all these crime shows about police brutality where the white cops are the heroes and stuff like that, it really desensitizes you. And this is very linked to my writing, because my writing is a critique of all this. And I do feel like whatever I write doesn't matter, because unless a publisher takes me, then it's gonna stay in the dark. But the fact that there are people out there writing things, making music about it, making paintings about it, sculptures, poems, performances, scripts. The fact that there is a movement to combat all this mess is proof that you're not alone in whatever it is that you're doing. This picture that you see on screen, even though I'm a blind photographer, I used to be, I don't think I can do that anymore. I took it at the memorial of the shoes on the Danube, a Second World War memorial, a reminder of something awful that happened all across Europe, where people of all kinds of minorities, not just Jewish, racial minorities, people with disabilities, queer people, they were all shot, they were all killed, they were all pushed into concentration camps. That person could have been me. If I were alive in those times, that could have been me. Because I have them all. I'm a racial minority, I'm disabled, I'm asexual, I'm pagan, I have them all. That would have definitely been me. So I made that picture, even though I'm not Jewish. Because that's the thing. People think, oh, the Holocaust was just for the Jewish. The majority of the issue was with the Jewish. Yes, it was. But they were not the only ones affected. It affected every minority. The shoes. Take off your shoes before they shoot you into the river, because you cannot die with anything of value in you, because you don't matter. This already happened. So that's the picture. It's a ghostly version of my feet, with my shoes still on, among all the shoes left behind by those who fell into the water. Not only because that could have been me, also because we are supposedly living in a time where people are free to walk with their shoes on. We live in a time where we are supposedly free to live a normal life. And then, George Floyd could have been any of my black friends. And let me tell you, for sure, none of them deserve that. Nobody deserves that. So this is where I stand. Black people are tired. People of color, of all kinds of colors, are tired. LGBTQ plus people are tired. People with disabilities are tired. Of all kinds. Notorious or invisible disabilities, people with autoimmune diseases that don't get their healthcare needs. People with mental health struggles are tired. Trauma survivors are tired. All minorities are tired. Tired of your privileged ignorance. This video is gonna cost me a lot. And I am very aware of it. Very aware that this is gonna cost me so much beyond a platform. It's gonna affect me in real life, even though I have a pen name, even though I don't show my face. But that is something I have to live with. I prefer to do things wrong and learn from it than not doing anything at all and never learn. Because their lives matter. Because they matter. Thank you for watching.